Beneath the endless expanse of golden sand, where ancient winds whisper secrets across weathered stone, lies a civilization that continues to captivate and confound us. Egypt, a land where colossal pyramids pierce the desert sky, where painted tomb walls guard stories of gods and kings, and where every grain of sand seems to hold fragments of humanity's most enduring mysteries. Tonight we embark on a gentle journey through the shadows of the past, exploring genuine puzzles that have quietly resisted centuries of investigation. These are not the fabricated mysteries of sensational documentaries, but real archaeological enigmas documented by scholars and pondered by generations of explorers. Each mystery we'll encounter is thoroughly authentic, carefully researched, and genuinely unresolved. Consider this your companion for the evening, a voice to accompany you through work, study, or those peaceful moments before sleep. Let's settle in comfortably, perhaps with a warm drink, and let us wander together through the timeless corridors of ancient Egypt, where mystery and wonder have patiently waited for thousands of years. Our journey begins with a mystery deep beneath the sands, the potential existence of hidden chambers within the tomb of Egypt's most iconic boy king, Tutankhamun. When British archaeologist Howard Carter first entered this nearly intact tomb in 1922, he uncovered treasures that revolutionized our understanding of ancient Egyptian burial practices. Yet recent research suggests that even this thoroughly studied tomb may still harbor undiscovered secrets behind its painted walls. The possibility of hidden chambers gained serious attention in 2015 when British Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves examined high-resolution scans of the tomb's interior walls. Reeves observed subtle markings and surface irregularities that suggested the presence of sealed doorways concealed behind elaborate murals. His analysis indicated that these hidden passages might lead to additional burial chambers, potentially containing more artifacts or even another royal burial. Reeves proposed a particularly intriguing theory that Tutankhamun's tomb was originally constructed for Queen Nefertiti, the enigmatic wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, and possibly Tutankhamun's stepmother. According to this hypothesis, when Tutankhamun died unexpectedly at a young age, royal officials hastily adapted the existing tomb, sealing off portions originally intended for Nefertiti. If correct, this theory suggests that the lost queen's burial chamber might lie just meters away from Tutankhamun's sarcophagus. The Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities authorized detailed radar scans to investigate Reeves's claims. Initial results appeared promising, with ground-penetrating radar indicating possible void spaces behind certain walls. International media eagerly reported these potential discoveries, fueling worldwide excitement about possibly finding new chambers in the 20th century's most significant archaeological discovery. However, subsequent investigations produced conflicting results. Additional radar scans conducted by different teams yielded contradictory interpretations. While some studies seemed to confirm the presence of hidden spaces, others detected no evidence of concealed chambers. This uncertainty highlighted the complexity of accurately interpreting geophysical data within ancient stone structures filled with irregularities and multiple construction layers. The tomb's unusually small size compared to other royal burials in the Valley of the Kings has long suggested that something was amiss. Tutankhamun's burial chambers appear cramped and hastily finished, leading scholars to speculate that the tomb was either not originally intended for a pharaoh or that additional spaces remain undiscovered. The tomb's irregular layout and apparently rushed decoration further support theories about hidden areas concealed during its construction. Egyptian authorities have permitted careful, non-invasive exploration using state-of-the-art technology. Teams have utilized infrared imaging, thermal scanning, and advanced ground-penetrating radar to investigate potential hidden spaces without physically disturbing the tomb's fragile walls. These methods enable researchers to explore possibilities while preserving the integrity of priceless archaeological evidence. The northern wall of Tutankhamun's burial chamber has attracted particular attention. Here, Reeves identified what he interpreted as possible sealed doorways concealed beneath detailed paintings depicting the young king's burial rites. These murals show Tutankhamun's mummification and funeral ceremonies, potentially masking hidden passages that were sealed and painted over to conceal their existence. Ancient Egyptian tomb builders frequently created hidden chambers, false passages, and concealed doorways to protect valuable burials from robbers. Given this historical precedent, the existence of additional chambers in Tutankhamun's tomb remains plausible and consistent with known Egyptian burial practices. Many royal tombs contained multiple chambers, subsidiary burials, and hidden storage areas for grave goods. Despite extensive investigation, definitive proof of hidden chambers remains elusive. The absence of conclusive evidence doesn't necessarily mean such chambers don't exist. Ancient Egyptians were masters of concealment, and their hidden spaces might be better disguised than modern technology can currently detect. Each advancement in archaeological technology brings new possibilities for exploration and discovery. The potential discovery of additional chambers in Tutankhamun's tomb would represent one of the most significant archaeological finds in recent history. New chambers might contain additional artifacts, religious texts, or even the burial of another royal family member. Such discoveries could dramatically enhance our understanding of the Amarna period, Tutankhamun's family relationships, and Egyptian burial practices. Whether hidden chambers actually exist within Tutankhamun's tomb, the ongoing investigation demonstrates how even thoroughly studied archaeological sites can continue yielding new questions and possibilities. As research continues with ever more sophisticated technology, archaeologists remain hopeful that future discoveries might finally resolve this intriguing mystery, potentially revealing new chapters in the story of ancient Egypt's most famous pharaoh. One of the most entrancing enigmas in modern Egyptology beckons us back into the storm-tossed heart of ancient Egypt, to an age where beauty, divinity, and ambition intertwined within the shadowed legend of Queen Nefertiti. Her name, meaning the beautiful one, has come, adorns one of history's most recognizable faces, that stunning limestone bust discovered in 1912, now gazing eternally from museums with serene, mysterious eyes. Yet for all her fame, for all the countless reproductions of her perfect features, Nefertiti herself has vanished into the desert silence. She lived during the 14th century BC, wife to the revolutionary pharaoh Akhenaten, who dared to challenge Egypt's ancient gods. Together they transformed their kingdom, abandoning centuries of tradition to worship a single deity, Aten, the solar disk. Nefertiti was no mere consort. She wielded unprecedented power, appearing in royal scenes typically reserved for pharaohs, receiving tribute from foreign dignitaries, and performing sacred rituals before the blazing sun disk. But when Akhenaten died and Egypt swiftly returned to its traditional ways, systematic efforts began to erase their controversial reign. Statues were smashed, inscriptions chiseled away, and tombs abandoned. In this deliberate campaign of historical amnesia, Nefertiti simply disappeared from the archaeological record, leaving behind only tantalizing clues and enduring questions. The search for her tomb has captivated archaeologists for generations. Some believe she rests in the Valley of the Kings, possibly concealed behind the painted walls of Tutankhamun's burial chamber. In 2015, British Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves proposed that ground-penetrating radar had detected hidden chambers beyond Tutankhamun's tomb, spaces that might contain the long-lost queen. Initial scans seemed promising, showing mysterious voids and cavities. Yet subsequent investigations yielded conflicting results, with some experts detecting nothing at all. Others theorize that Nefertiti lies beneath the ruins of Amarna, the city she and Akhenaten built for their sun god. Perhaps she was originally buried there, only to be secretly moved when the city was abandoned and forgotten. The mysterious younger lady mummy discovered in tomb K35 has been suggested as a possible candidate, though DNA testing remains inconclusive, hampered by degradation and contamination spanning millennia. Today, as Egypt applies increasingly sophisticated technology, advanced radar imaging, precise digital mapping, careful historical reconstruction, archaeologists remain cautiously optimistic. Somewhere beneath the shifting sands in a hidden chamber, carved into bedrock or sealed behind ancient walls, Nefertiti may yet await discovery. When found, her tomb could rival even Tutankhamun's in historical significance, finally illuminating one of ancient Egypt's most fascinating and enigmatic periods. Until that moment arrives, Nefertiti occupies a unique place in our imagination, a legendary queen whose missing burial continues to intrigue anyone drawn to Egypt's enduring mysteries. Among all the missing monuments of ancient Egypt, perhaps none captures the imagination quite like the lost tomb of Cleopatra VII, the legendary queen whose name has become synonymous with beauty, power, and romance. Despite being one of history's most famous rulers, and despite extensive searches by archaeologists and treasure hunters, Cleopatra's final resting place remains one of archaeology's most tantalizing unsolved mysteries. Cleopatra ruled Egypt as its last active pharaoh from 51 to 30 BC, presiding over the final chapter of Egypt's independence before its absorption into the Roman Empire. Her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, her political acumen, and her dramatic death have made her a central figure in both historical accounts and popular culture. Yet for all her fame, the location of her tomb has eluded discovery for over 2,000 years. Historical accounts describe Cleopatra's suicide in 30 BC, following Octavian's victory over her forces and those of Mark Antony. Ancient sources suggest she was buried alongside her beloved Mark Antony in a tomb prepared within Alexandria's royal quarter. However, the exact location of this burial site was apparently lost, as Alexandria underwent centuries of political upheaval, natural disasters, and urban development. The search for Cleopatra's tomb has focused primarily on two locations, beneath modern Alexandria and at the ancient site of Taposiris Magna, located about 30 miles west of the city. Each location offers compelling reasons for consideration, though neither has yet yielded definitive proof of the queen's burial. Alexandria presents obvious possibilities as Cleopatra's burial site. As the Ptolemaic capital and the queen's primary residence, it would have been the natural location for her tomb. However, much of ancient Alexandria now lies beneath the modern city or submerged beneath the Mediterranean Sea. Centuries of earthquakes, rising sea levels, and urban construction have dramatically altered the coastline and buried ancient structures beneath layers of sediment and development. Underwater archaeologists exploring Alexandria's submerged harbour have discovered remarkable remains of the ancient city, including palace foundations, temple structures, and artifacts dating from Cleopatra's era. These discoveries confirm the grandeur of Ptolemaic Alexandria, while demonstrating how much of the ancient city has been lost to natural forces. However, despite extensive underwater exploration, no discoveries have been definitively linked to Cleopatra's burial. The alternative theory, focusing on Taposiris Magna, has gained significant attention in recent years, particularly through the research of Dominican archaeologist Kathleen Martinez. This site, dedicated to Osiris worship, contained important temples and burial facilities during Cleopatra's lifetime. Martinez argues that Cleopatra might have chosen this location for its religious significance, aligning her burial with Osiris and Isis to emphasize her divine status and Egyptian identity. Excavations at Osiris Magna have uncovered intriguing evidence of royal activity during Cleopatra's reign, including coins bearing her image, temple foundations, and underground chambers. These discoveries suggest significant construction and religious activity at the site during the Ptolemaic period, supporting theories about its potential importance as a royal burial ground. However, despite years of careful excavation at Osiris Magna, direct evidence of Cleopatra's tomb remains elusive. The site's complex stratigraphy, multiple construction phases, and extensive later disturbance have complicated archaeological interpretation. While promising discoveries continue emerging, definitive proof of Cleopatra's burial has not yet been found. The mystery surrounding Cleopatra's tomb is compounded by the political circumstances of her death and burial. As a defeated enemy of Rome, Cleopatra might have faced the prospect of posthumous humiliation or tomb violation. Ancient sources suggest that Octavian allowed her burial with appropriate honors, but later political changes in Egypt might have threatened the tomb's security. Some historians speculate that Cleopatra's burial was deliberately concealed to protect it from Roman desecration or later tomb robbers. The Ptolemaic dynasty had accumulated enormous wealth over 3 centuries of rule, and Cleopatra's tomb would likely have contained extraordinary treasures. Such valuable burials often attracted thieves and political enemies seeking to demonstrate their power by violating royal graves. The cultural and religious complexity of Cleopatra's identity adds another dimension to the search for her tomb. As a Ptolemaic ruler of Greek Macedonian descent governing an Egyptian population, Cleopatra represented a unique synthesis of different cultural traditions. Her burial practices might have combined Greek, Egyptian, and even Roman elements in ways that don't conform to traditional archaeological expectations. Modern search techniques continue advancing the investigation of potential tomb sites. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite imagery, and underwater robotics allow archaeologists to explore beneath Alexandria's streets and waters with unprecedented precision. At Osiris Magna, sophisticated surveying equipment helps researchers map underground features and identify areas for targeted excavation. Despite technological advances, the search for Cleopatra's tomb faces significant practical challenges. Urban development in Alexandria limits archaeological access, while the high water table complicates deep excavation. At Osiris Magna, the site's vast extent and complex archaeological deposits require careful, time-consuming investigation that may continue for decades. The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb would represent one of archaeology's greatest triumphs, potentially rivaling the discovery of Tutankhamun's burial in historical significance. Such a find might contain inscriptions illuminating the queen's life and reign, artifacts demonstrating Ptolemaic royal culture, and possibly even Cleopatra's own remains, which could provide unprecedented insights into her identity and appearance. International interest in finding Cleopatra's tomb reflects both scholarly curiosity and popular fascination with this legendary figure. Media coverage of archaeological expeditions, documentary films, and public exhibitions helps sustain support for continued research while sharing the excitement of potential discovery with global audiences. Whether Cleopatra's tomb lies beneath Alexandria's bustling streets, within the temples of Osiris Magna, or somewhere else entirely, the search continues. Each new season of archaeological work brings possibilities for breakthrough discoveries while advancing our understanding of Ptolemaic Egypt and the complex cultural world that Cleopatra inhabited. The enduring mystery of Cleopatra's lost tomb reminds us that even the most famous figures in history can vanish into archaeological obscurity. Her missing burial represents both a specific historical puzzle and a broader reminder of how much ancient history remains hidden beneath the modern world, waiting for patient archaeological investigation to bring it back to light. Our journey through Egypt's mysteries returns us to the Giza Plateau and one of its most enduring enigmas, determining the actual age of the Great Sphinx. While conventional Egyptology confidently dates this iconic monument to around 2500 BC during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, geological observations and alternative theories have sparked intense debate about whether this ancient guardian might be significantly older than traditionally believed. The orthodox dating places the Sphinx's carving during Egypt's 4th dynasty, supported by archaeological evidence found nearby, and the monument's apparent relationship to Khafre's pyramid complex. Inscriptions, artifacts, and construction techniques discovered around the Sphinx align with what scholars know about Khafre's reign, providing a straightforward chronological framework that has satisfied most Egyptologists for generations. However, certain geological observations have challenged this conventional timeline. The most significant alternative theory centers on unusual erosion patterns visible on the Sphinx's body and the walls of its enclosure. Geologist Robert Schoch and other researchers argue that these erosion features strongly suggest water-induced weathering rather than the wind-blown sand erosion typical of Egypt's desert climate. According to this geological interpretation, the deep grooves and rounded contours on the Sphinx's enclosure walls indicate prolonged exposure to rainfall, climatic conditions that existed in Egypt thousands of years before Khafre's reign. During the African humid period, roughly 9,000 to 6,000 years ago, the Sahara region experienced significantly more rainfall than it does today. If the Sphinx were carved during this wetter climatic period, it would predate Egyptian civilization by several millennia. Proponents of the earlier dating argue that the erosion patterns are too extensive and distinctive to have been caused by sand and wind alone. They point to the vertical channeling and undercutting visible on the Sphinx's enclosure walls as characteristic signatures of water erosion. These features, they claim, required centuries or millennia of exposure to regular rainfall to develop. Mainstream Egyptologists remain skeptical of these geological arguments, noting the absence of archaeological evidence supporting such an early date. They emphasize that surrounding tombs, artifacts, and structures at Giza consistently date to the 4th dynasty, making it unlikely that the Sphinx significantly predates this period. Critics also note that geological dating alone cannot definitively establish when human activity occurred at a site. Some researchers have proposed compromise theories attempting to reconcile both geological and archaeological evidence. One possibility suggests that the Sphinx site contained an earlier natural rock formation or primitive carving that was later reworked and refined during Khafre's reign. This scenario would explain both the ancient erosion patterns and the 4th dynasty archaeological context. Another theory proposes that unusual local conditions, underground water sources, specific wind patterns, or chemical weathering might have produced the erosion patterns seen on the Sphinx without requiring a significantly earlier date. However, detailed geological studies have not identified environmental factors that would create such distinctive weathering patterns under current climatic conditions. Ancient Egyptian texts and traditions add another layer of complexity to this dating controversy. Some inscriptions and stories suggest that Egyptians themselves viewed the Sphinx as ancient and mysterious. The famous Dream Stela, erected by Thutmose IV, describes the Sphinx as already old and buried in sand more than 1,000 years after Khafra's supposed construction period. Recent archaeological investigations around the Giza Plateau have revealed evidence of much earlier human activity in the region. Pre-dynastic burial sites, ceremonial structures, and religious installations suggest that the area held spiritual significance long before the pyramids were built. This earlier sacred usage might indicate that important monuments like the Sphinx could have been integrated into previously existing religious landscapes. Modern geological techniques continue providing new data relevant to the Sphinx's age. Ground-penetrating radar, seismic surveys, and detailed geological mapping allows scientists to study the monument's structure and the surrounding bedrock without causing damage. These investigations have revealed complex geological features and possible subsurface chambers that may offer additional clues about the site's history. However, interpreting geological evidence remains challenging and often ambiguous. Limestone weathering can be influenced by numerous factors including humidity, temperature fluctuations, chemical composition, and subsurface water movement. Different geological processes can produce similar erosion patterns, making it difficult to definitively distinguish between various causal mechanisms. The controversy over the Sphinx's age reflects broader questions about the development of ancient Egyptian civilization. If the monument does prove to be significantly older than conventionally believed, it would suggest that sophisticated stone carving capabilities existed in the region much earlier than previously thought. Such a discovery would require major revisions to our understanding of ancient Egyptian cultural development. Archaeological investigation of this question continues through careful excavation around the Sphinx and analysis of geological evidence. Each new piece of data contributes to the ongoing debate, while highlighting the complexity of determining accurate chronologies for ancient monuments. Advanced dating techniques, improved geological analysis, and continued archaeological excavation may eventually provide definitive answers. Whether the Sphinx proves to be 4,500 or 9,000 years old, it remains an extraordinary achievement of ancient engineering and artistry. The ongoing debate about its age demonstrates how archaeological interpretation can evolve as new evidence emerges and analytical techniques improve. This uncertainty, rather than diminishing the monument's significance, adds another layer of mystery to one of humanity's most iconic ancient structures. Until more conclusive evidence emerges, the true age of the Great Sphinx remains an open question that continues to challenge our assumptions about ancient Egyptian capabilities and the timeline of human civilization in the Nile Valley. For over 4,000 years, the Great Sphinx of Giza Sentinel has watched over the pyramids, its weathered face gazing eternally toward the eastern horizon. Carved directly from the living bedrock, the Sphinx embodies both the permanence and the mystery of ancient Egypt itself. Yet beneath its massive paws and lion's body, modern investigations suggest the presence of hidden chambers, secret spaces that have sparked the imagination of explorers, historians, and treasure hunters for generations. The idea isn't merely modern speculation. Ancient Egyptian texts themselves reference mysterious chambers and tunnels near the Sphinx, spaces described in hieroglyphic inscriptions as sacred repositories of knowledge or ritual chambers. The earliest hints of these hidden spaces come from Egypt's own records. Temple inscriptions speak vaguely of chambers beneath or near the monument, places where rituals were performed and sacred objects stored. While these references might be symbolic rather than literal, they inspired generations of explorers to investigate the possibility of actual hidden rooms. Modern interest intensified during the 20th century, particularly after American psychic Edgar Cayce predicted in the 1930s that a hall of records would someday be discovered beneath the Sphinx. While Casey's claims lacked scientific foundation, they captured public imagination and motivated serious archaeological investigation. In subsequent decades, researchers employed increasingly sophisticated technology, ground-penetrating radar, seismic surveys, thermal imaging, to probe beneath the monument. Multiple studies have detected anomalies suggesting possible hollow spaces beneath the Sphinx's pores and along its sides. These investigations, conducted by teams from various universities and research institutions, consistently indicate potential chambers or cavities hidden within the bedrock. The area beneath the front pores has proven particularly intriguing. Detailed radar and seismic studies repeatedly suggest the presence of chambers or voids in this location. Some researchers propose these spaces might contain artifacts, texts, or ritual objects deliberately placed there by ancient priests. This theory aligns with Egyptian symbolism, where statue pores often protected or guarded something precious. Limited excavations have occasionally discovered carved tunnels and chambers, though these appear incomplete or exploratory. Such findings suggest ancient Egyptians themselves may have searched beneath the Sphinx, perhaps seeking chambers mentioned in their sacred texts, even if they never completed their excavations. Despite these tantalizing discoveries, Egyptian authorities have remained cautiously protective of the monument. They rightfully worry that invasive excavation could damage the Sphinx's already fragile structure, which has suffered significant erosion over millennia. This caution explains why definitive proof of hidden chambers remains elusive. The technology suggests their presence, but direct access would require potentially destructive investigation. Recent advances in non-invasive technology offer new possibilities. Thermal imaging, advanced ground-penetrating radar, and three-dimensional mapping provide unprecedented detail about the monument's internal structure. These methods allow researchers to explore safely without risking damage to one of humanity's most precious artifacts. Whether these hidden chambers contain ancient archives, ritual artifacts, or simply natural geological formations may never be definitively determined without direct exploration. Yet the consistency of results across multiple independent studies suggests something lies concealed beneath this ancient guardian, something that has waited patiently for over 4 millennia. As technology continues advancing, the mystery of the Sphinx's hidden chambers remains one of archaeology's most compelling puzzles, reminding us that even our most familiar monuments may still guard secrets in their silent depths. Alongside the enduring question of who truly built the pyramids of Giza lies another puzzle that seems almost deceptively simple, yet far more elusive. What happened to the missing capstone of the Great Pyramid? For over 4 millennia, visitors have observed that this architectural wonder appears strangely incomplete, its apex flattened rather than coming to the sharp point originally intended by its ancient builders. The absence of this crucial component, known to Egyptians as the Benben stone, represents one of the most visible yet least understood mysteries of ancient Egyptian architecture. The Benben stone held profound religious and symbolic significance in ancient Egyptian cosmology. According to creation mythology, the primeval mound that first emerged from the chaotic waters of creation was topped by a sacred stone that became the focal point for divine power and cosmic renewal. This mythological Benben stone inspired the architectural design of pyramids, with each monument's capstone representing this sacred symbol of creation, rebirth, and divine authority. Archaeological and historical evidence indicates that the Great Pyramid was originally crowned with a precisely crafted pyramidion made of polished granite, limestone, or possibly gold-covered material. This capstone would have gleamed brilliantly in the desert sun, visible from great distances and serving as a beacon of royal power and divine connection. Ancient texts describe the placement of pyramid capstones as sacred ceremonies involving elaborate rituals and royal participation. The disappearance of this crucial architectural element has generated numerous theories about its fate. Some scholars propose that the capstone was deliberately removed during ancient times, either for political reasons, to reuse its valuable materials, or as part of systematic campaigns to diminish the monument's symbolic power. Historical periods of political upheaval, religious change, or economic hardship might have motivated such removal. Alternative theories suggest natural causes for the capstone's disappearance. Earthquakes, severe weather, or gradual structural fatigue might have weakened the capstone's connection to the pyramid, eventually causing it to fall. Egypt's seismic activity and occasional severe storms could have provided sufficient force to dislodge even a carefully secured stone element over centuries or millennia. The practical challenges of removing such a massive stone element argue against casual theft or vandalism. Pyramid capstones weighed several tons and were positioned at heights of nearly 150 meters above ground level. Removing such objects would have required sophisticated engineering, substantial labor forces, and strong motivations, suggesting that any deliberate removal was carefully planned rather than opportunistic. Economic motivations might have driven capstone removal during periods when valuable building materials were scarce. High-quality stone, particularly polished granite or gold-covered elements, would have been extremely valuable for reuse in other construction projects. Local populations facing economic hardship might have viewed the capstone as a valuable resource worth the considerable effort required for its removal. Religious or political symbolism could have motivated deliberate destruction of pyramid capstones. These elements represented royal divine authority and cosmic order, making them potential targets during periods of political revolution or religious reform. Destroying or removing such symbols might have served to challenge royal legitimacy or demonstrate changing power relationships. Archaeological investigation around the Great Pyramid has not revealed clear evidence of the missing capstone or definitive clues about its fate. While excavations have uncovered construction tools, worker settlements, and various pyramid-related artifacts, no fragments or remains clearly attributable to the original capstone have been identified. Modern engineering analysis of the Great Pyramid's current condition provides insights into the structural implications of the missing capstone. The monument's present flat-topped appearance represents only a small fraction of its original height, but this missing element would have completed the pyramid's intended geometric perfection and symbolic significance. Historical accounts from classical antiquity occasionally reference the pyramid's appearance, but these descriptions generally postdate the capstone's disappearance. Greek and Roman visitors typically describe the monument much as it appears today, suggesting that the capstone had already been lost by the time systematic historical documentation began. The symbolic importance of pyramid capstones in Egyptian religious thought extended beyond their architectural function to encompass concepts of completion, divine protection, and cosmic harmony. The Benben stone represented the point where earthly monuments connected with celestial forces, making its loss particularly significant from cultural and religious perspectives. Recent archaeological discoveries at other Egyptian sites have revealed intact pyramid capstones that provide insights into their construction, decoration, and symbolic significance. These surviving examples help researchers understand what the Great Pyramid's capstone might have looked like while confirming the religious importance attached to these architectural elements. Advanced imaging and survey techniques applied to the Great Pyramid continue revealing new details about its construction and current condition. Detailed photogrammetry, thermal imaging, and structural analysis help researchers understand how the monument has changed over time, while potentially identifying evidence related to the capstone's original attachment and subsequent removal. Conservation considerations influence modern approaches to the Great Pyramid's restoration and preservation. While some propose recreating the missing capstone to restore the monument's original appearance, others argue for maintaining its current historical condition as an authentic reflection of its complex history and the changes it has undergone over millennia. International research collaboration continues advancing understanding of Egyptian pyramid construction techniques and the specific methods used for installing capstones. Comparative studies of other pyramids, analysis of construction techniques, and experimental archaeology help illuminate the engineering challenges involved in capstone placement and removal. The mystery of the Great Pyramid's missing capstone reflects broader questions about how ancient monuments change over time and how human activities, natural forces, and historical circumstances combine to alter these structures. Understanding these processes helps inform conservation strategies while enhancing appreciation for the complex histories of ancient monuments. Whether removed deliberately, lost to natural forces, or destroyed by historical circumstances unknown to us, the missing capstone of the Great Pyramid represents a tangible connection to questions about preservation, destruction, and change in ancient monuments. Its absence serves as a reminder that even humanity's most enduring structures are subject to historical forces that can alter their appearance and meaning across the centuries. The continuing fascination with this missing element demonstrates how apparently simple questions about ancient monuments can illuminate complex issues of religion, politics, economics, and environmental change in ancient civilizations. While the capstone's fate may never be definitively determined, its absence continues inspiring research and speculation about one of humanity's greatest architectural achievements. The age of pyramid building had reached its twilight. The pharaohs gradually turned away from the colossal stone mountains that had defined Egypt for over a millennium, and instead devoted their genius to a new kind of monument. Standing like ancient exclamation points against the sky, Egyptian obelisks represent some of humanity's most impressive feats of engineering and craftsmanship. These towering granite monuments, carved from single blocks of stone and precisely erected at temple entrances across the ancient world, continue to amaze modern engineers and archaeologists. Yet despite extensive study, many aspects of obelisk creation, transportation, and erection remain mysterious, reflecting sophisticated ancient technologies whose details have been partly lost to time. Egyptian obelisks served primarily as religious monuments, symbolizing the primordial mound from which ancient Egyptians believed creation began. These tapering stone pillars represented the Benben stone, the sacred relic associated with the sun god Ra and the concept of divine resurrection. Pharaohs erected obelisks at temple entrances to honor the gods, commemorate military victories, and demonstrate royal power through magnificent displays of engineering prowess. The creation of an obelisk began with the challenging process of quarrying massive granite blocks from the famous quarries at Aswan in southern Egypt. Ancient Egyptian quarrymen worked with remarkable precision, using copper tools, wooden wedges, and controlled application of heat and water to split enormous granite masses from the bedrock. The famous unfinished obelisk still lying in the Aswan quarries where it was abandoned due to a critical crack provides invaluable insights into ancient quarrying techniques. Modern analysis of the unfinished obelisk reveals the extraordinary skill required for this initial phase of obelisk creation. Ancient workers carved the monument's shape directly into the bedrock, gradually separating it from the surrounding stone through meticulous chipping, heating, and wedging. The precision achieved in this process, using only hand tools and human labor, demonstrates remarkable understanding of stone properties and fracture mechanics. Once quarried, obelisks required careful shaping, polishing and decoration before transportation to their intended sites. Craftsmen spent months or years refining each monument's surface, achieving mirror-like smoothness through gradual abrasion with sand and stone tools. Hieroglyphic inscriptions were carved with equal precision, ensuring durability and clarity that would survive millennia of weathering. The transportation of completed obelisks presented extraordinary logistical challenges. These monuments, some measuring over 30 meters in length and weighing hundreds of tons, had to be moved from Aswan quarries to temple sites throughout Egypt and beyond. Ancient Egyptians solved this problem through ingenious combinations of human labor, simple machines, and careful engineering. Archaeological evidence and ancient depictions suggest Egyptians used specially constructed ships to transport obelisks along the Nile River. These vessels, essentially floating platforms designed to carry enormous loads, required careful design to maintain stability while supporting concentrated weights far exceeding normal cargo capacities. River transport offered the most practical solution for moving such massive objects over long distances. For overland transport, Egyptians employed systems of sledges, rollers, and ramps that allowed teams of workers to move obelisks gradually toward their destinations. Ancient relief carvings show hundreds of workers hauling massive stones using ropes and coordinated effort. These depictions provide visual evidence of transportation methods while highlighting the enormous human resources required for such projects. Perhaps the most mysterious aspect of obelisk engineering involves the precise methods used for erecting these massive monuments in their final positions. Lifting a multi-hundred-ton stone pillar into vertical position required sophisticated engineering and exceptional organizational skill. Modern reconstructions and theoretical studies have proposed various methods, but the exact techniques remain debated among scholars. One widely accepted theory suggests ancient Egyptians built enormous earthen ramps alongside obelisk sites, gradually tilting the monuments upright using rope systems, wooden frameworks, and carefully coordinated human labor. Alternative theories propose the use of lever systems, counterweights, or sand-filled chambers that allowed controlled raising of the obelisks. While evidence exists for various approaches, the precise methods may have varied depending on local conditions and available resources. The astronomical precision achieved in obelisk placement adds another layer of complexity to their engineering. Many obelisks are oriented with remarkable accuracy toward cardinal directions or specific celestial phenomena. This precision required sophisticated knowledge of astronomy, surveying, and mathematics, demonstrating that obelisk erection involved far more than simple mechanical engineering. Modern engineering analysis of standing obelisks reveals the extraordinary stability achieved by ancient builders. These monuments have withstood earthquakes, wars, and millennia of weathering while maintaining their vertical orientation and structural integrity. The foundations, proportions, and construction techniques employed by ancient engineers created monuments capable of surviving challenges that would topple many modern structures. The global distribution of Egyptian obelisks reflects both ancient and modern transportation achievements. Many obelisks were moved to Rome during the imperial period, where they were re-erected as symbols of conquest and prestige. In modern times, European powers and the United States have transported additional obelisks to major cities, where they stand today as monuments to ancient Egyptian engineering skill. Recent archaeological research continues revealing new insights into obelisk engineering through detailed study of quarry sites, transportation routes, and erection locations. Advanced imaging techniques, computer modeling, and experimental archaeology help researchers understand ancient methods while testing theoretical reconstructions of construction processes. The tools and techniques used for obelisk creation demonstrate the sophisticated technological knowledge possessed by ancient Egyptian craftsmen. Recent discoveries at quarry sites have revealed specialized tools, measuring devices and workshop installations that illuminate the practical aspects of monument creation. These findings show that obelisk production involved standardized procedures, quality control measures, and technical innovations that evolved over centuries. International efforts to preserve and study obelisks worldwide contribute to our understanding of ancient engineering while ensuring these monuments survive for future generations. Conservation projects, scientific analysis, and detailed documentation help protect obelisks from environmental damage while advancing scholarly knowledge of their construction methods. The precision and durability of Egyptian obelisks continue inspiring modern engineers and architects. These ancient monuments demonstrate that sophisticated engineering could be achieved using human labor, simple tools, and careful planning. Their success challenges contemporary assumptions about the relationship between technological complexity and engineering achievement. Experimental archaeology projects have attempted to recreate obelisk construction using reconstructed ancient techniques. These efforts provide practical insights into the feasibility of proposed methods while revealing the skill and coordination required for successful monument creation. Such experiments help distinguish between theoretical possibilities and practical realities in ancient engineering. The engineering legacy of Egyptian obelisks extends beyond their immediate technical achievements to influence architectural and artistic traditions worldwide. The proportion, precision, and monumental scale of these structures established aesthetic principles that continue influencing monument design in contemporary architecture. Whether standing in their original Egyptian locations or relocated to cities around the world, obelisks remain powerful testaments to ancient engineering capabilities. Their enduring presence demonstrates the remarkable achievements possible when human ingenuity, resource management, and cultural commitment combine to create monuments intended for eternity. The mysteries surrounding their construction continue inspiring research and admiration, ensuring that these ancient achievements maintain their capacity to amaze and instruct modern audiences. Our journey through Egypt's architectural mysteries now leads us to examine not a missing element, but an entire vanished tradition: the mysterious cessation of pyramid building in ancient Egypt. For nearly a millennium, from the 3rd dynasty through the Middle Kingdom, Egyptian pharaohs devoted enormous resources to constructing these monumental tombs. Yet rather suddenly this grand tradition came to an end, with New Kingdom pharaohs choosing instead to build hidden tombs in the Valley of the Kings. The reasons behind this dramatic shift in royal burial practices remain complex and not entirely understood. The pyramid-building tradition represented far more than architectural preference. It embodied fundamental beliefs about royal power, divine authority, and eternal life. These massive monuments served as both tombs and symbols, demonstrating pharaonic might while ensuring royal resurrection in the afterlife. The decision to abandon such powerfully symbolic structures suggests equally powerful motivations that overcame centuries of established tradition. Security concerns appear to have played a crucial role in ending pyramid construction. Despite elaborate protective measures, false chambers, hidden passages, complex layouts, and religious curses, pyramids proved vulnerable to tomb robbers throughout Egyptian history. Ancient texts record systematic looting of pyramid burials, with thieves drawn by the obvious wealth indicated by these massive monuments. Even royal pyramids with the most sophisticated defenses eventually fell victim to determined robbers. The Valley of the Kings offered superior security for royal burials. Hidden within remote cliffs west of Thebes, tomb entrances could be carved discreetly into rock faces and concealed after burial ceremonies. This natural fortress provided better protection than even the most elaborate pyramid complexes, with tomb locations known only to trusted priests and officials responsible for maintaining royal cults. Economic factors also influenced the abandonment of pyramid building. Constructing monumental pyramids required enormous resources: stone, labor, food, tools, and administrative coordination that drained royal treasuries and diverted resources from other priorities. As Egypt faced increasing external pressures and internal challenges during the later Middle Kingdom, pharaohs may have concluded that defensive fortifications, temples, and infrastructure provided better returns on royal investment. Religious evolution played a significant role in changing burial practices. Early Egyptian beliefs emphasized physical monuments as essential for ensuring royal resurrection and eternal survival. However, religious thought gradually evolved to emphasize magical texts, elaborate rituals, and protective spells over massive architectural structures. The development of the Book of the Dead and similar funerary literature provided alternative methods for ensuring successful afterlife transition without requiring pyramid construction. The rise of Thebes as Egypt's religious capital influenced royal burial choices. This southern city became the center of Amun worship during the Middle Kingdom, with powerful priesthoods accumulating enormous wealth and political influence. Theban religious authorities promoted temple construction over pyramid building, redirecting royal resources toward glorifying the gods rather than individual pharaohs. This shift reflected changing relationships between royal and religious authority. Political considerations may have motivated the move away from pyramid building. The visible grandeur of pyramids, while demonstrating royal power, also emphasized individual pharaohs over dynastic continuity. Later rulers may have preferred burial methods that emphasized divine kingship and religious authority rather than personal glorification, particularly during periods when royal legitimacy faced challenges. Environmental factors influenced this architectural transition. The later Middle Kingdom experienced climatic challenges including reduced Nile flooding and periodic droughts that strained Egypt's resources. During such difficulties, massive construction projects became less feasible, encouraging pharaohs to adopt more modest burial practices that conserved resources for essential governance and defense. Technological and administrative changes affected pyramid construction feasibility. The sophisticated organizational systems that enabled Old Kingdom pyramid building may have become less effective over time. Changes in labor organization, resource management, and construction techniques might have made traditional pyramid building more difficult or expensive relative to alternative burial methods. The rise of powerful regional governors during the First Intermediate Period may have permanently altered the political dynamics necessary for pyramid construction. These local rulers had established their own burial traditions and power bases, reducing the centralized authority that earlier pharaohs had used to mobilize resources for massive construction projects. Military priorities increasingly influenced royal resource allocation decisions. Egypt faced growing threats from Nubian kingdoms to the south, Asian peoples to the northeast, and Libyan tribes to the west. Maintaining effective armies and defensive fortifications became more important than constructing elaborate tombs, particularly during periods of active warfare or external pressure. The development of new artistic and architectural traditions also contributed to pyramid abandonment. Egyptian culture evolved continuously, with each period developing distinctive styles and preferences. The rock-cut tombs of the Valley of the Kings represented architectural innovation that reflected contemporary aesthetic values while providing practical advantages over traditional pyramid designs. Archaeological evidence from the transition period shows gradual changes in royal burial practices rather than sudden abandonment of pyramid construction. Some later pharaohs built small pyramids or pyramid-shaped structures within temple complexes, suggesting that pyramid symbolism remained important even as massive monument construction ceased. Modern analysis of the economic and social costs associated with pyramid building helps explain why this tradition eventually ended. Computer modeling and resource analysis demonstrate the enormous expenditures required for pyramid construction, revealing how these projects strained even Egypt's substantial resources. Such calculations help modern researchers understand the practical pressures that influenced ancient royal decisions. International comparisons with other ancient civilizations reveal similar patterns of monumental construction, followed by periods focusing on different priorities. Many societies have experienced transitions from massive architectural projects to other forms of cultural expression, suggesting that such changes reflect natural evolution in political systems and social values. The legacy of pyramid building continued influencing Egyptian architecture and religious thought long after active construction ceased. Pyramid symbolism remained important in Egyptian art and religion, with later pharaohs incorporating pyramid elements into temple designs and royal iconography. The tradition's influence extended beyond Egypt to inspire monumental architecture in other ancient civilizations. Modern archaeological investigation continues revealing new insights into the factors that led to pyramid building's end. Each discovery at Middle Kingdom and New Kingdom sites provides additional evidence about changing royal priorities, religious evolution, and political dynamics during this crucial transition period. The end of pyramid building represents one of ancient Egypt's most significant cultural transitions, reflecting changes in religious belief, political organization, economic priorities, and security concerns. Understanding this transformation illuminates how ancient societies adapted their practices to changing circumstances while maintaining cultural continuity. The magnificent pyramids that survive today remind us of both the achievements possible through massive collective effort and the inevitability of cultural change, even in humanity's most enduring civilizations. Among ancient Egypt's most tantalizing lost monuments stands the legendary labyrinth of Hawara, once described by classical historians as one of the wonders of the ancient world. This enormous structure, reportedly built near the pyramid of Pharaoh Amenemhat III during Egypt's Middle Kingdom, was praised by visitors like Herodotus as surpassing even the pyramids in its complexity and grandeur. Yet today, this architectural marvel has vanished almost completely, leaving behind only scattered ruins and enduring questions about its true nature and location. Ancient Greek historians provided our most detailed descriptions of this remarkable complex. Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BC, described the labyrinth as containing thousands of chambers, halls, and corridors, arranged in such intricate patterns that visitors required guides to avoid becoming lost within its winding passages. According to his account, the structure housed sacred crocodiles, contained statues of deities, and featured chambers dedicated to Egypt's various nomes or administrative districts. The labyrinth was constructed during the reign of Amenemhat III, around 1800 BC, making it nearly 4,000 years old. This pharaoh was known for ambitious building projects, and the labyrinth represented perhaps his most impressive achievement. Ancient sources describe it as a massive temple complex containing countless rooms decorated with hieroglyphs, reliefs, and inscriptions depicting Egyptian gods, rituals, and historical events. Classical accounts indicate the structure served multiple functions: religious ceremonies, administrative purposes, and possibly royal burials. Some texts suggest it contained underground chambers or vaults that served as tombs for kings or sacred animals. The complexity described by ancient visitors, with its maze-like layout and numerous hidden chambers, suggests the labyrinth was designed to confuse and protect whatever treasures or secrets it contained. Modern attempts to locate this lost wonder have met with limited success. In the late 19th century, archaeologist Flinders Petrie conducted extensive excavations at Hawara, uncovering Amenemhat's pyramid and discovering extensive mud brick foundations nearby. Petrie initially believed these remains represented portions of the famous labyrinth, but his findings did not match the grandeur described by ancient historians. Recent technological advances have renewed hope for identifying the labyrinth's true extent and location. In 2008, a team of Belgian and Egyptian archaeologists conducted ground-penetrating radar surveys at Hawara, detecting what appeared to be a vast underground complex near Amenemhat's pyramid. Their scans suggested extensive chambers, corridors, and passages buried deep beneath the surface, structures that closely matched ancient descriptions of the legendary labyrinth. However, excavating this potential discovery faces significant challenges. The structure lies buried beneath layers of silt, sand, and groundwater, complicating efforts to access it safely. The high water table in the Fayoum region makes deep excavation extremely difficult without risking flooding or structural damage. These practical obstacles have prevented comprehensive exploration of what might be one of archaeology's most significant discoveries. Various theories propose different purposes for the original labyrinth. Some historians suggest it functioned primarily as a religious center, a place of pilgrimage and worship dedicated to Egyptian deities. The complexity described by ancient sources might reflect the importance Egyptians placed on elaborate rituals and ceremonies designed to maintain cosmic order. Another theory proposes the labyrinth served as a grand mortuary complex, possibly housing multiple royal burials and funeral temples. Egyptian burial practices during the Middle Kingdom often involved extensive tomb structures and elaborate preparation rituals. The labyrinth's reported scale and complexity might have reflected these burial traditions, creating a monumental center for death and rebirth. A third possibility suggests the structure combined multiple functions, religious, administrative, and burial purposes operating simultaneously. Many Egyptian temples served various roles, functioning as spiritual centers, storage facilities, and symbols of royal power. The labyrinth might have represented the ultimate expression of such multifunctional architecture. Despite decades of investigation, the exact location, layout, and purpose of Egypt's lost labyrinth remain uncertain. Researchers continue advocating for careful, non-invasive exploration of the promising site at Hawara. Advanced technologies now enable archaeologists to map underground structures remotely, potentially revealing the labyrinth's secrets without extensive excavation. Until definitive evidence emerges, the lost labyrinth at Hawara remains one of archaeology's greatest unsolved puzzles. Its disappearance symbolizes how much of ancient Egypt's architectural heritage has been lost to time, buried beneath centuries of sand and silt. Yet the possibility that this legendary structure still lies intact beneath the desert continues to inspire hope among archaeologists and historians who dream of rediscovering one of antiquity's most remarkable architectural achievements. From the enduring mysteries surrounding the extraordinary monuments of ancient Egypt, our journey now turns toward an entire, vanished city, Itjtawy, the lost capital of ancient Egypt's Middle Kingdom, founded around 1985 BC by Pharaoh Amenemhat I. This great city served as Egypt's administrative and royal center for several centuries. Yet despite its historical importance and prominent mentions in ancient texts, Itjtawy has completely vanished from the archaeological record, leaving scholars searching for one of Egypt's most significant missing cities. The name Itjtawy translates roughly as Caesar of the Two Lands, reflecting Amenemhat's ambition to unify and control Upper and Lower Egypt from a strategically located new capital. Historical records indicate that Itjtawy flourished as a vibrant center of government, culture, and commerce, featuring grand royal palaces, administrative buildings, and bustling residential districts that housed the kingdom's elite and bureaucracy. Ancient Egyptian texts provide tantalizing glimpses of Itjtawy's grandeur and importance. Royal inscriptions praise the city's magnificent architecture, describing elaborate temples, ceremonial complexes, and royal residences that embodied the power and prosperity of the Middle Kingdom. Literary works reference Itjtawy as the heart of Egyptian civilization, where pharaohs held court and administered their far-reaching empire. Despite this textual evidence, no archaeological site has been definitively identified as ancient Itjtawy. This absence makes the lost capital uniquely puzzling, a major city known from extensive historical documentation but completely missing from modern archaeological maps. The disappearance of such an important urban center raises fundamental questions about how entire cities can vanish from the landscape. Geographical clues suggest Itjtawy was located near the Fayum region, a fertile depression southwest of modern Cairo, known for its rich agricultural lands and sophisticated irrigation systems. This area has supported dense human settlement for millennia, making it a logical choice for a major administrative capital. The region's agricultural productivity would have provided necessary resources for supporting a large urban population and royal court. However, the Fayum's long history of continuous settlement may explain why Itjtawy remains archaeologically invisible. Successive civilizations likely built upon earlier foundations, reusing building materials and gradually obscuring traces of older cities. Modern towns and agricultural fields now cover much of the ancient landscape, potentially concealing Itjtawy beneath layers of later occupation. Environmental factors may have contributed to Itjtawy's disappearance. The Nile River has significantly altered its course over millennia, and major floods or changes in river channels could have forced the city's abandonment. Silt deposits from periodic flooding might have buried substantial portions of the ancient city, preserving them beneath meters of alluvial sediment. Recent archaeological surveys using satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar have identified promising anomalies in the Fayum region that might indicate buried urban structures. These technological approaches allow researchers to detect subsurface features without extensive excavation, offering hope for eventually locating Itjtawy's remains. Limited excavations in areas near the proposed site have uncovered pottery fragments, building materials, and architectural elements dating to the Middle Kingdom period. While these discoveries don't definitively identify Itjtawy, they confirm significant urban activity in the region during the appropriate time period. Some artifacts appear to have royal or administrative associations, supporting theories about the area's political importance. The search for Itjtawy has been complicated by the city's probable reuse and transformation over time. Unlike sites that were abandoned and buried intact, Itjtawy may have evolved continuously, with later builders destroying or incorporating earlier structures. This process of urban renewal could have eliminated distinctive features that would allow clear identification of the ancient capital. Ancient texts indicate that Itjtawy contained important religious installations, including temples dedicated to major Egyptian deities and royal mortuary complexes. Amenemhat I built his pyramid near the capital, further emphasizing the city's royal significance. Discovering these monumental structures could provide crucial clues for identifying Itjtawy's location and understanding its layout. The administrative importance of Itjtawy means it likely contained extensive archives, workshops, and storage facilities for managing Egypt's complex bureaucracy. Such installations would have produced distinctive archaeological signatures, administrative tools, written records, and specialized artifacts that might help identify the site if preserved in archaeological contexts. International archaeological teams continue investigating potential locations for ancient Itjtawy, employing increasingly sophisticated remote sensing techniques and careful historical analysis. Each survey season provides new data about ancient settlement patterns in the Fayum region, while gradually narrowing the search area for the lost capital. The economic and political significance of Itjtawy during the Middle Kingdom makes its discovery a major priority for Egyptologists studying this crucial period. The city witnessed Egypt's reunification after the First Intermediate Period, the development of Middle Kingdom artistic and literary traditions, and the establishment of administrative systems that influenced Egyptian governance for centuries. Climate studies and paleo-environmental research provide additional tools for understanding Itjtawy's disappearance. Analysis of ancient pollen, sediments, and hydrological patterns helps reconstruct the environmental conditions that existed when the city flourished and identify factors that might have led to its abandonment or burial. Modern urban development in the Fayum region creates both opportunities and challenges for archaeological investigation. Construction projects occasionally reveal ancient remains, providing glimpses of buried archaeological sites. However, development also threatens potential archaeological deposits, emphasizing the urgency of systematic survey and identification efforts. The mystery of Itjtawy's location reflects broader questions about urban development and decline in ancient civilizations. Understanding how and why major cities disappear from the archaeological record provides insights into the factors that determine which aspects of ancient life are preserved for modern study. Collaborative research involving Egyptian and international institutions has been essential for advancing the search for Itjtawy. Satellite analysis, historical research, and field archaeology require diverse expertise and resources that can only be effectively combined through international cooperation. Whether buried beneath modern fields, hidden under later settlements, or dispersed by environmental changes, Itjtawy remains one of archaeology's most significant missing sites. Its eventual discovery would provide unprecedented insights into Middle Kingdom urban planning, royal administration, and daily life in one of ancient Egypt's most important historical periods. The continuing search for Itjtawy demonstrates how much of ancient Egypt's urban heritage remains hidden beneath the modern landscape. Each new technological development and research initiative brings renewed hope for eventually locating this lost capital and recovering another crucial piece of ancient Egyptian civilization. Shifting from the mysteries buried beneath Itjtawy, we encounter one of modern archaeology's most remarkable discoveries, the lost city of Heracleion, also known as Thonis. For centuries, this ancient metropolis existed only in classical texts and scholarly speculation. Ancient historians like Herodotus described a thriving port city at the mouth of the Nile, but its exact location remained unknown. Then, in the year 2000, underwater archaeologist Frank Goddio made an extraordinary announcement that would rewrite our understanding of ancient Egyptian maritime civilization. Working in the waters off Egypt's Mediterranean coast, Goddio's team discovered the remains of an entire city, submerged beneath several meters of water and sediment. Their findings included massive temple foundations, enormous statues of Egyptian gods, ancient harbors, and countless artifacts, all perfectly preserved beneath the sea. This underwater metropolis proved that Heracleion was not merely a myth, but had been ancient Egypt's most important Mediterranean port. Historical evidence indicates that Heracleion served as Egypt's primary gateway to the Mediterranean world, controlling trade between Egypt and Greece, Cyprus, and other ancient civilizations. Ships arriving from across the Mediterranean docked at its harbors, unloading precious metals, timber, pottery, and luxury goods. In return, Egyptian products, grain, gold, papyrus, and exotic goods from Africa flowed outward through Heracleion's busy port facilities. Archaeological discoveries beneath the Mediterranean have revealed the extent of this ancient commercial network. Underwater excavations have uncovered ship anchors, cargo containers, and the remains of vessels from various Mediterranean cultures. These findings demonstrate that Heracleion was truly international in scope, with merchants, diplomats, and travelers from across the ancient world conducting business within its harbour. The city's religious significance matched its commercial importance. Massive granite statues recovered from the seabed include representations of Egyptian gods like Osiris, Isis, and Hapi, indicating that Heracleion functioned as a major religious centre. Temple foundations discovered underwater suggest elaborate sacred complexes where Egyptian priests performed rituals and foreign visitors paid homage to Egyptian deities. The city thus served as both an economic hub and a spiritual gateway where foreign cultures encountered Egyptian religion. The mystery surrounding Heracleion's submergence has attracted considerable scientific investigation. Geological studies suggest the city was affected by a combination of natural disasters and gradual environmental changes. Earthquakes, tsunamis, and periodic flooding weakened the city's foundations over centuries. The Nile Delta region has long experienced geological subsidence, and rising sea levels gradually submerged entire districts of the ancient city. Ancient Egyptian texts referenced devastating floods and seismic events in the region, corroborating geological evidence for natural disasters that affected Heracleion. The process appears to have been gradual rather than sudden. The city slowly sinking beneath rising waters over several centuries until it disappeared completely from historical memory. Modern underwater archaeology continues revealing new aspects of this submerged civilization. Advanced sonar mapping, underwater robotics, and precise excavation techniques allow researchers to explore Heracleion systematically while protecting its fragile underwater environment. Each season of excavation uncovers new districts, temples, and artifacts that enhance our understanding of ancient Mediterranean trade and cultural exchange. One of the most significant ongoing discoveries involves the numerous shipwrecks found within Heracleion's ancient harbour. These vessels, dating from various periods, contain cargo that illuminates ancient trade networks and economic relationships. Some ships carried Egyptian goods destined for foreign markets, while others brought exotic products from across the Mediterranean to Egypt's wealthy consumers. The preservation conditions beneath the Mediterranean have proved remarkably favorable for archaeological materials. Seawater and sediment protected many organic materials, wood, leather, textiles, that would have decomposed completely in terrestrial environments. This exceptional preservation allows researchers to study aspects of ancient life rarely available to archaeologists working on land sites. Inscriptions and artifacts from Heracleion have provided new insights into relationships between Egyptian and Greek civilizations. Greek pottery and coins discovered in underwater excavations demonstrate extensive cultural and economic contact long before Alexander the Great's conquest of Egypt. These findings challenge earlier assumptions about the timing and nature of Greek influence in Egypt. The discovery of Heracleion has also illuminated ancient Egyptian maritime technology and navigation skills. Harbour installations, quays, and channel markers found underwater reveal sophisticated port management and ship handling capabilities. Ancient Egyptians clearly possessed advanced knowledge of coastal engineering, harbour construction, and maritime logistics necessary for managing international trade. Religious artifacts from the submerged city demonstrate how Egyptians integrated commercial and spiritual activities. Temples and religious installations were built directly adjacent to harbour facilities, allowing merchants and travellers to participate in Egyptian religious ceremonies while conducting business. This integration reflects the holistic worldview of ancient Egyptians, who saw commerce and spirituality as interconnected rather than separate spheres of activity. International collaboration has been essential for exploring Heracleion effectively. Egyptian authorities work closely with European research institutions, underwater archaeology specialists, and conservation experts to ensure proper investigation and preservation of this unique site. The complexity of underwater excavation requires specialized equipment, trained personnel, and careful coordination between multiple organizations. Public interest in Heracleion has been enormous, with artifacts from the submerged city touring international museums and inspiring documentaries, books, and educational programs. This public engagement helps support continued research while sharing the excitement of archaeological discovery with global audiences. Future exploration of Heracleion promises additional revelations about ancient Mediterranean civilization. Large portions of the city remain unexplored beneath the seabed, potentially containing more temples, residential districts, and commercial facilities. Each new discovery adds pieces to our understanding of how ancient civilizations conducted international trade, managed religious diversity, and adapted to environmental challenges. The story of Heracleion's discovery and ongoing exploration demonstrates how modern technology can recover lost chapters of human history. This submerged city represents not just an archaeological triumph, but a reminder that many ancient sites may still await discovery beneath the world's oceans, rivers, and lakes. Heracleion proves that even cities lost for millennia can be found again. The Mediterranean surrendered its secrets, but there's another place that remains hidden to this day: the lost land of Punt, a mysterious trading partner that supplied Egypt with frankincense, myrrh, and exotic treasures for centuries. Yet despite extensive historical documentation, the precise location and full significance of Punt remain tantalizingly unclear. Ancient Egyptians referred to Punt as God's land, reflecting both its sacred significance and its role as a source of incense and aromatic substances essential for temple rituals. From as early as the Old Kingdom, around 2500 BC, Egyptian records describe expeditions to this distant realm, returning with precious cargoes of gold, ebony, ivory, wild animals, and the aromatic resins that played crucial roles in Egyptian religious ceremonies. The most detailed account of Egyptian contact with Punt comes from the mortuary temple of Queen Hatshepsut at Deir el-Bahari, where elaborate relief carvings chronicle her famous expedition around 1470 BC. These remarkable scenes show Egyptian ships departing from Red Sea ports, arriving at Punt's harbours, and conducting diplomatic and commercial exchanges with Punt's inhabitants. The reliefs depict the loading of Egyptian vessels with exotic goods and even live incense trees transported carefully in baskets for transplantation in Egyptian temple gardens. These temple reliefs provide invaluable details about Punt's geography and culture. The scenes show a land of rivers and tropical vegetation inhabited by people whose appearance and customs differed from those of Egyptians. Punt's rulers and inhabitants are depicted receiving Egyptian delegations with ceremony and respect, suggesting established diplomatic relationships rather than simple raiding or conquest. Despite these detailed visual records, determining Punt's exact location has challenged scholars for generations. Ancient Egyptian geographical descriptions place it somewhere southeast of Egypt, accessible by sailing down the Red Sea. This general direction has led researchers to propose various locations, including modern-day Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Yemen, or possibly regions further south along the East African coast. Archaeological evidence from Red Sea coastal regions has revealed ancient Egyptian installations that might have supported expeditions to Punt. Recent discoveries include harbour facilities, inscriptions, and artifact deposits that confirm Egyptian maritime activity in these waters. However, no site has been definitively identified as Punt itself, leaving its precise location an ongoing mystery. The goods associated with Punt in Egyptian records provide clues about its possible location and environment. Frankincense and myrrh, the aromatic resins that formed Punt's most valued exports, grow naturally in specific geographical regions of the Arabian Peninsula and East Africa. The distribution of these plants helps narrow potential locations for punt while confirming the accuracy of Egyptian descriptions about its products. Punt's exotic animals, as depicted in Hatshepsut's temple reliefs, include giraffes, monkeys, and leopards, species native to East Africa. These animals, along with ebony, wood, and gold, suggest that Punt encompassed regions where such resources were readily available. The combination of aromatic plants, specific animal species, and precious materials helps constrain possible geographical locations. Modern archaeological expeditions along the Red Sea coasts have uncovered evidence of ancient trading networks that might have connected Egypt with Punt. Shipwreck discoveries, harbour installations, and artifact distributions demonstrate extensive maritime commerce during pharaonic periods. These findings confirm Egyptian capabilities for long-distance sea travel while providing context for understanding Punt expeditions. The diplomatic aspects of Egyptian-Punt relations, as shown in temple reliefs, suggest that Punt was an established kingdom or confederation rather than simply a geographical region. Egyptian texts describe negotiations with Punt's rulers, ceremonial exchanges of gifts, and formal agreements for trade relationships. This diplomatic complexity indicates that Punt possessed organized political structures capable of sustained international relations. Religious significance played a crucial role in Egyptian valuation of Punt's products. Frankincense and myrrh were essential for temple rituals, royal burials, and religious ceremonies throughout Egyptian history. Punt's position as the primary source of these sacred substances gave it special importance in Egyptian religious and cultural life beyond simple commercial value. The transplantation of Punt's incense trees to Egyptian temple gardens, as depicted in Hatshepsut's reliefs, demonstrates Egyptian desires to establish domestic sources for these precious materials. Archaeological evidence from Egyptian temple complexes has identified gardens where exotic plants were cultivated, confirming ancient accounts of such horticultural experiments. Climate and environmental research provides additional tools for understanding Punt's location and the factors that influenced Egyptian expeditions. Studies of ancient precipitation patterns, vegetation distribution, and sea level changes help reconstruct the environmental conditions that existed during active Egyptian-Punt trade relationships. The decline of Egyptian references to Punt in later historical periods raises questions about changing political relationships, environmental conditions, or trade route modifications. After the New Kingdom, detailed accounts of Punt expeditions become less frequent, suggesting either reduced contact or changes in how such relationships were documented. Modern DNA analysis and botanical studies of ancient plant remains from Egyptian sites might eventually provide definitive evidence about Punt's location. Scientific identification of frankincense and myrrh samples from archaeological contexts could establish precise geographical sources for these materials, helping confirm Punt's identity. International collaboration between researchers in Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia, Yemen, and other potential Punt locations continues advancing understanding of ancient Red Sea trade networks. Each region offers pieces of the puzzle through archaeological discoveries, environmental studies, and historical research. The search for Punt reflects broader questions about ancient geographical knowledge, international trade relationships, and cultural exchange between distant civilizations. Understanding how ancient Egyptians conceptualized and navigated to distant lands illuminates their sophisticated geographical knowledge and maritime capabilities. Whether Punt represents a specific kingdom, a confederation of trading partners, or a geographical region encompassing multiple modern countries, its historical significance in Egyptian civilization is undeniable. The continuing search for this God's land demonstrates how much remains to be discovered about ancient international relationships and the complex networks that connected early civilizations across vast distances. Future archaeological discoveries, improved analytical techniques, and continued international research collaboration offer hope for eventually solving the mystery of Punt's location. Until then, this lost land remains one of ancient Egypt's most intriguing geographical puzzles, symbolizing the adventurous spirit and far-reaching connections that characterized Egyptian civilization at its height. Entire cities can vanish, swallowed by sand, sea, or time. But here's what's even stranger. Even individual tombs built for Egypt's most powerful rulers can disappear just as completely. Among the missing tombs of ancient Egypt, perhaps none is more ironic than the lost tomb of Imhotep, the brilliant architect, physician, and advisor who revolutionized Egyptian building practices, but whose own final resting place remains mysteriously hidden. As the designer of the step pyramid at Saqqara, Egypt's first monumental stone structure, Imhotep established architectural principles that influenced pyramid building for centuries. Yet, despite his fundamental role in creating Egypt's most enduring monuments, his own burial site has eluded discovery for millennia. Imhotep lived during the Third Dynasty, around 2650 BC, serving as chief advisor to Pharaoh Djoser. His responsibilities extended far beyond architecture to include medicine, astronomy, and administrative leadership, making him one of ancient Egypt's most accomplished individuals. Later generations deified Imhotep, worshipping him as a god of wisdom, healing, and architecture, a transformation that reflects his extraordinary achievements and lasting influence. The step pyramid complex at Saqqara stands as Imhotep's greatest legacy, representing the evolutionary bridge between earlier mastaba tombs and the smooth-sided pyramids that followed. This innovative design required unprecedented engineering solutions, from the structural challenges of building in stone to the logistical complexities of organizing massive construction projects. Imhotep's success established templates for royal burial architecture that dominated Egyptian civilization for over a millennium. Despite Imhotep's prominence and the reverence accorded his memory, his tomb has never been definitively located. This absence is particularly puzzling, given that other high officials from his period received elaborate burials near their royal patrons. The traditional Egyptian practice would have positioned Imhotep's tomb close to Djoser's step pyramid, yet extensive archaeological exploration around Saqqara has not revealed clear evidence of his burial site. Ancient texts and inscriptions confirm Imhotep's importance, while providing frustratingly vague information about his burial. Later, Egyptian sources reference his tomb and describe pilgrimages to sites associated with his memory, but these accounts lack the specific geographical details that would help modern archaeologists identify his resting place. The reverent but imprecise nature of these references suggests that Imhotep's tomb was either deliberately concealed or had already been lost by later periods. The deification of Imhotep during Egypt's later periods adds complexity to the search for his original burial. By the late period, numerous temples and shrines dedicated to divine Imhotep had been constructed, particularly around Saqqara and Memphis. Pilgrims seeking healing and wisdom visited these sacred sites, leaving votive offerings and inscriptions. This religious activity may have obscured or altered the original burial location while creating multiple sites associated with Imhotep's veneration. Recent archaeological investigations at Saqqara have employed advanced technologies to search for hidden structures that might represent Imhotep's tomb. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite imagery, and remote sensing techniques have revealed numerous subsurface anomalies in the vicinity of the step pyramid. While these discoveries have enhanced understanding of the Saqqara complex, none have been conclusively identified as Imhotep's burial site. The architectural sophistication evident in Imhotep's known work suggests his tomb would have featured innovative design elements and superior construction quality. Such characteristics might help distinguish his burial from contemporaneous tombs if archaeological exploration eventually reveals candidate sites. However, the passage of millennia and the extensive building activity at Saqqara throughout Egyptian history may have altered or destroyed distinctive features. Archaeological discoveries at Saqqara continue uncovering evidence related to Imhotep's era and cultural context. Recent excavations have revealed additional Third Dynasty structures, workshop areas, and artifact deposits that illuminate the period when Imhotep lived and worked. While these findings haven't identified his tomb, they provide valuable insights into the technological and social environment that produced such an exceptional individual. The religious cult that developed around Imhotep offers both clues and complications for understanding his burial. Sacred texts from later periods describe rituals performed at Imhotep-related sites, but these ceremonies may have occurred at memorial temples rather than his actual tomb. Distinguishing between authentic burial locations and later commemorative structures requires careful analysis of archaeological evidence and historical sources. Modern conservation concerns influence how researchers approach the search for Imhotep's tomb. Any discovery must be carefully managed to ensure proper preservation while allowing scientific study. The example of other major archaeological discoveries emphasizes the importance of preparation and planning before exposing fragile ancient materials to modern environmental conditions. International collaboration has been essential for advancing research into Imhotep's burial location. Egyptian institutions work with universities and research organizations worldwide to analyze evidence, share expertise, and coordinate investigation efforts. This collaborative approach maximizes available resources while ensuring comprehensive exploration of potential sites. The missing tomb of Imhotep represents more than just an archaeological puzzle. It symbolizes the gaps in our knowledge about individuals who shaped ancient Egyptian civilization. His international contacts may have influenced mummification development through exposure to preservation techniques practiced by other cultures. Egypt's extensive trade relationships brought exposure to foreign materials, methods, and ideas that might have contributed to preservation innovations. However, the distinctive character of Egyptian mummification suggests that local experimentation and religious requirements were the primary drivers of technical development. The role of medical knowledge in mummification evolution reflects the connection between healing practices and preservation techniques. Ancient Egyptian physicians possessed sophisticated understanding of anatomy, disease, and bodily functions that informed preservation methods. The overlap between medical and mortuary practices created opportunities for knowledge transfer that advanced both fields simultaneously. Technological innovations in other areas of Egyptian society influenced mummification development. Advances in textile production, chemical processing, tool manufacturing, and architectural techniques all contributed materials and methods that embalmers incorporated into preservation practices. This technological cross-fertilization demonstrates how mummification evolved within broader patterns of cultural innovation. Modern scientific analysis continues revealing new insights into mummification origins through study of early preserved remains. Advanced chemical analysis, radiocarbon dating, and microscopic examination help researchers trace the development of preservation techniques with unprecedented precision. Each newly discovered early mummy provides additional evidence about experimental methods and evolving practices. The mystery of mummification's origins reflects broader questions about innovation and cultural development in ancient societies. Understanding how complex technical practices emerge from simple beginnings illuminates processes of knowledge accumulation, social organization, and cultural transmission that characterized ancient Egyptian civilization. Our exploration now turns toward another missing piece of ancient Egypt's archaeological puzzle, the lost necropolis of Pharaoh Amenhotep I. Unlike many rulers whose tombs and burial complexes have been clearly identified, Amenhotep's final resting place remains mysteriously absent from modern archaeological maps. This absence is particularly puzzling, given his importance as a foundational figure of Egypt's 18th dynasty and the extensive efforts devoted to locating his burial site. Amenhotep I ruled Egypt from approximately 1526 to 1506 BC during a period of consolidation and expansion following Egypt's reunification. As the son of Ahmose I, who expelled the Hyksos invaders and restored native Egyptian rule, Amenhotep inherited a stable kingdom that he further strengthened through military campaigns, building projects, and administrative reforms. His successful reign established foundations for the new kingdom's later achievements. Historical evidence clearly indicates that Amenhotep I received elaborate burial befitting his royal status. Ancient texts reference his tomb and mortuary complex, describing rituals performed there and the reverence accorded to his memory. However, despite extensive archaeological exploration in areas where royal tombs from this period are typically found, no site has been definitively identified as Amenhotep's necropolis. The most likely location for Amenhotep's original burial appears to be Dra Abu el Naga, an ancient necropolis located on the west bank of the Nile near Thebes. This area served as an important burial ground for royalty and nobility during the early 18th dynasty, containing numerous tombs dating from Amenhotep's era. The geographical and chronological context makes Dra Abu el Naga a logical choice for royal burial during this period. However, extensive archaeological exploration of Dra Abu el Naga has not conclusively identified Amenhotep's tomb. While excavations have uncovered many significant burials from the appropriate time period, none can be definitively attributed to this pharaoh. This absence suggests either that the tomb has been destroyed, reused beyond recognition, or remains hidden beneath later construction or natural deposits. The situation is complicated by evidence that Amenhotep's mummy was moved during antiquity. During the 21st dynasty, around 1000 BC, Egyptian priests relocated many royal mummies from their original tombs to hidden caches designed to protect them from tomb robbers. Amenhotep's mummy was among those moved, eventually resting in the famous cache at Deir el-Bahari, discovered by modern archaeologists. The fact that priests moved Amenhotep's mummy suggests his original tomb had been compromised or threatened. This relocation provides clues about the tomb's fate while complicating efforts to locate it. If the original burial was already damaged or vulnerable by the 21st dynasty, its archaeological traces might be severely limited or completely destroyed. Recent archaeological investigations have employed advanced technology to search for Amenhotep's lost necropolis. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite imagery, and remote sensing techniques have been used to detect subsurface features that might indicate hidden burial structures. These non-invasive methods allow researchers to explore potential sites without damaging existing archaeological deposits. Satellite surveys of the Theban necropolis have revealed numerous anomalies that could represent previously unknown tombs or architectural features. Some of these discoveries show promising characteristics consistent with royal burial complexes from Amenhotep's period. However, confirming their identity requires careful excavation and analysis that continues over multiple research seasons. Recent excavations in the Theban area have uncovered significant archaeological materials related to Amenhotep's reign, including tomb chapels, inscriptions, and artifacts bearing his name. While these discoveries don't identify his burial chamber, They confirm extensive royal and elite activity in the region during his rule and provide valuable context for understanding the period. The religious significance of Amenhotep adds complexity to the search for his necropolis. After his death, he and his mother, Ahmose Nefertari, were deified and worshipped as protective patron deities of the Theban necropolis. This posthumous cult means that Amenhotep's tomb likely served religious functions beyond simple burial, potentially attracting pilgrims and ritual activities that might have altered or obscured its original appearance. Temple inscriptions and historical texts occasionally reference rituals performed at Amenhotep's tomb, indicating its continued importance long after his death. These references suggest the tomb remained accessible and functional for religious purposes, though they provide limited specific information about its location or architectural features. The transitional nature of Amenhotep's reign may influence the character and location of his burial complex. He ruled during a period when Egyptian burial practices were evolving from earlier traditions toward the distinctive royal tomb styles that characterized later New Kingdom pharaohs. His necropolis might combine elements of older burial traditions with emerging architectural innovations. Modern Egyptologists continue investigating potential sites for Amenhotep's necropolis using multidisciplinary approaches that combine archaeological excavation, historical research, and scientific analysis. Each new discovery in the Theban region provides additional data that might eventually lead to identifying this elusive burial complex. International collaboration has been essential for advancing research into Amenhotep's lost necropolis. Egyptian institutions work with universities and museums worldwide to analyze artifacts, share expertise, and coordinate research efforts. This collaborative approach maximizes resources while ensuring comprehensive investigation of potential sites. The search for Amenhotep's necropolis reflects broader challenges in Egyptian archaeology, where important sites may be hidden beneath later construction, destroyed by natural forces, or altered beyond easy recognition. Each missing royal burial represents not just an archaeological puzzle, but a gap in our understanding of ancient Egyptian culture and history. Conservation considerations influence how researchers approach the search for Amenhotep's tomb. Any discovery must be carefully managed to ensure proper preservation while allowing scientific study. Modern archaeological practice emphasizes sustainable investigation that protects sites for future generations while extracting maximum scientific information. The eventual discovery of Amenhotep's necropolis would provide unprecedented insights into early New Kingdom burial practices, royal ideology, and the cultural developments that established foundations for Egypt's later imperial achievements. Such a find would illuminate a crucial transitional period in Egyptian history while honoring the memory of a pharaoh who played a fundamental role in establishing Egypt's greatest era. Until new evidence emerges, the lost necropolis of Amenhotep I remains one of Egyptian archaeology's most significant missing pieces. The continuing search demonstrates the persistence and dedication of researchers committed to recovering every possible fragment of ancient Egypt's remarkable heritage, ensuring that future generations can understand and appreciate the full scope of this extraordinary civilization. Our final exploration leads us to a mystery that bridges ancient Egypt with the broader Mediterranean world: the lost tomb of Alexander the Great. When the legendary Macedonian conqueror died in Babylon in 323 BC, at just 32 years of age, his body was transported to Egypt and buried in Alexandria, the magnificent city that bore his name. Yet despite Alexandria's historical prominence and extensive archaeological exploration, Alexander's final resting place remains one of archaeology's most sought-after prizes. Alexander's connection to Egypt was both military and cultural. His conquest of the Persian Empire in 332 BC liberated Egypt from Persian rule and established him as pharaoh in Egyptian eyes. Unlike many conquerors, Alexander showed respect for Egyptian religion and traditions, consulting the oracle of Amun at the Siwa oasis and accepting divine legitimation as the son of Zeus Ammon. This religious validation established foundations for the Ptolemaic dynasty that would rule Egypt for 3 centuries. Following Alexander's unexpected death, his general Ptolemy intercepted the funeral procession and diverted the conqueror's body to Egypt, recognizing the political value of possessing such a powerful symbol. Ptolemy established Alexander's tomb as a focal point of Alexandria, where it became a pilgrimage destination visited by prominent figures including Julius Caesar, Augustus, and other Roman leaders seeking to associate themselves with Alexander's legendary status. Ancient sources describe Alexander's tomb as a magnificent structure located within Alexandria's royal quarter. Historical accounts indicate that the tomb contained not only Alexander's body, but also served as the burial place for several Ptolemaic pharaohs who sought association with the great conqueror. These descriptions suggest a complex of buildings rather than a simple tomb, reflecting both Alexander's importance and the dynasty's desire to legitimize their rule through proximity to his remains. The disappearance of Alexander's tomb from historical records occurs gradually during the late Roman period. References become increasingly scarce after the 3rd century AD, and by the time Arab historians describe Alexandria, they make no mention of the famous burial. This gradual disappearance suggests that the tomb was either deliberately concealed, destroyed by natural disasters, or lost during Alexandria's numerous political upheavals. Several theories attempt to explain Alexander's tomb's disappearance. Natural disasters, earthquakes, tsunamis, and rising sea levels significantly altered Alexandria's topography over centuries. Much of the ancient city now lies underwater, and Alexander's tomb might be among the structures submerged beneath the Mediterranean. Underwater archaeological exploration has revealed remarkable remains of ancient Alexandria, though no discoveries have been definitively linked to Alexander's burial. Alternative theories propose that the tomb was deliberately hidden or destroyed during periods of religious or political conflict. The rise of Christianity and later Islamic conquest might have motivated deliberate elimination of pagan monuments, while political rivals might have sought to deny opponents access to Alexander's symbolic power. However, historical evidence for intentional destruction remains limited. Modern archaeological investigation has focused primarily on 2 approaches: underwater exploration of Alexandria's submerged harbour and systematic excavation within the modern city. Underwater archaeologists have discovered palace foundations, harbour installations, and numerous artifacts that illuminate ancient Alexandria's grandeur. While these findings haven't located Alexander's tomb, they demonstrate the city's remarkable preservation beneath the sea. Terrestrial excavation within modern Alexandria faces significant challenges due to dense urban development and the high water table that characterizes the Nile Delta. Limited archaeological access restricts systematic exploration, though occasional construction projects reveal ancient remains that provide glimpses of the buried city beneath modern streets. Several specific locations within and around Alexandria have been proposed as potential sites for Alexander's tomb. The Serapeum, a temple complex dedicated to Serapis, was suggested by some ancient sources as connected to royal burials. Other theories focus on the ancient royal quarter or specific areas where royal tombs might have been concentrated. However, none of these proposals has yielded definitive archaeological evidence. Recent technological advances offer new possibilities for locating Alexander's tomb without extensive excavation. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite imagery, and underwater robotics enable researchers to explore potential sites systematically while minimizing disruption to modern urban environments. These methods have identified numerous underground anomalies that warrant further investigation. The political and cultural significance of finding Alexander's tomb would extend far beyond archaeological curiosity. Such a discovery would illuminate crucial aspects of Hellenistic history, Ptolemaic royal ideology, and the cultural synthesis that characterized ancient Alexandria. The tomb might contain inscriptions, artifacts, or artistic elements that provide unprecedented insights into Alexander's reception in Egypt and his role in establishing Hellenistic civilization. International collaboration has been essential for advancing research into Alexander's tomb. Egyptian authorities work with universities and museums worldwide to analyze evidence and coordinate investigation efforts. This collaborative approach maximizes available expertise while ensuring that any discoveries receive appropriate scholarly attention and public dissemination. The search for Alexander's tomb also raises important questions about archaeological ethics and the management of potentially momentous discoveries. Any find would require careful planning for excavation, conservation, and study that balances scientific investigation with preservation requirements and public access considerations. Modern Alexandria's role as a living city complicates archaeological investigation while providing opportunities for discoveries during urban development projects. Construction activities occasionally reveal ancient remains, offering glimpses of the buried classical city beneath modern streets. However, these chance discoveries are often fragmentary and lack the systematic context necessary for identifying specific structures or individuals. The legend and historical significance of Alexander's tomb have influenced how both scholars and the public approach its mystery. Unlike purely Egyptian archaeological puzzles, Alexander's missing burial connects to broader narratives about Hellenistic civilization, the spread of Greek culture, and the complex cultural synthesis that characterized the ancient Mediterranean world. Forensic considerations would play crucial roles in any potential identification of Alexander's remains. Ancient descriptions of his appearance, known details about his health and injuries, and comparative analysis with contemporary burials could potentially confirm identification if candidate remains were discovered. However, the passage of over 2 millennia would significantly complicate any definitive determination. The economic and cultural impact of finding Alexander's tomb would be enormous, potentially transforming Alexandria's role in international tourism while providing unprecedented research opportunities. Such a discovery would require careful management to balance scientific investigation with conservation needs and public access considerations. Whether Alexander's tomb lies beneath Alexandria's streets, submerged in its harbor, or concealed in some location yet to be explored, the continuing search demonstrates how individual historical mysteries can illuminate broader patterns of cultural development and historical change. The missing burial represents both a specific archaeological challenge and a symbol of how much ancient history remains hidden beneath the modern world. From the tombs of queens who ruled empires to cities that commanded the ancient world. From engineering feats we still can't fully explain to monuments that vanished despite being built to last forever. Every one of these mysteries has something in common. They prove that ancient Egypt is not a closed book. It's not a civilization we've figured out and filed away in museums. It's living archaeology, active, evolving, surprising us constantly. We cover every major archaeological development in Egypt as it happens, with the same depth and respect for science you've seen here today. If you want to follow these stories as they develop, if you want to be among the first to know when one of these mysteries is finally solved, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.